If you are looking for a no HOA neighborhood, you're looking for a little bit more elbow room, and you're looking for access to the intercoastal here in St. Augustine at a great price, you want to make sure that you watch this entire video, because at the end of the video, I'm also going to check out one of my newest listings that's coming to the market that needs a good bit of work. And we're also going to take a look at one of the homes that I have under contract with a first-time home buyer here in the area that has been completely remodeled, so that you can see kind of the contrast of pricing and what you get for your money here. But before we go further, let's just take in the scenes here. I'm right on the intercoastal. I'm in the neighborhood of St. Augustin South, which is just about 10 minutes south of downtown St. Augustine. We're about 15 minutes from the beach, and it's just right over there. That's Anastasia Island over there as well. This is a boater's neighborhood. So if you're looking to own a boat, if you're looking to have an RV, if you're maybe just a mechanic, you have a couple cars, this is going to be the neighborhood for you, especially if you're looking for everything that St. Augustine has to offer in terms of lifestyle. You get it all here because you're close to everything. And before we go any further, one thing to know is I'm not technically on the beach here, but we know you're a tourist. We know you're not from here if you're wearing shoes on the beach. It's a big no-go. Wear flip-flops, your regular feet, you just bring your feet out there. That's how we know that you're a local here. If you're wearing shoes and socks on the beach, dead giveaway. One of the great things about living in St. Augustine South is that you have access to the intercoastal. You have 2 public boat ramps, which are maintained by the county. They don't cost you anything to have, which is why this is a boater's neighborhood. You can park your boat right in the front yard and no one has a problem with it. Tons of people in this neighborhood do it. But outside of that, you also have 4 miles of intercoastal access on Shore Drive, which gives you all of this. I mean, it's pretty much untouched, natural beauty that you're probably looking for. This is amazing. And this is a little spot here called Lighthouse Point. It's kind of like a little sandy beach area here that there's just a dirt walking trail, which we'll walk up here just so you can kind of see that. But this is the stuff that you get here in St. Augustine South, which is honestly such a great bonus to have, because you don't get this in pretty much any other neighborhood here in St. Augustine. And just recently, they were trying to put a walkway, asphalt path all along the 4 miles of Shore Drive. And the residents here were like, no way, leave it untouched, leave the natural beauty. We don't want people coming in here just to use the boat ramps and then also use that 4 miles of walkway. We want to make it just leave it as it is. And when you look at stuff like this, I mean, this is untouched essentially outside of the walking path that has been put in here. You don't want to mess with it, guys. And that's one of the beauties of living here in this neighborhood, is that you have pride in your neighborhood. People take care of their homes here. Now, of course, you'll find some homes that, they don't take care of. But for the most part, people that live here take pride in their homes and they take pride in their neighborhood, which is something that you don't really find. And that's why a lot of the neighborhoods here in the area are HOA neighborhoods. So where are we here in St. Johns County? Like I said, we're in St. Augustine South, and currently right now I'm on Shore Drive Waterfront Park. We're about 10 minutes from downtown St. Augustine, the historic section, and we're about 15 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes to St. Augustine Beach, depending on how fast you drive and how bad the traffic is at US 1 and 312. One of the other bonuses of living in this neighborhood, and this may or may not affect you, is going to be your access to Flagler Hospital. Flagler Hospital is just on the north end of this neighborhood, so you're probably a 5-minute drive to the hospital if you do need that type of care. This is the neighborhood that my wife and I wanted to be in when we were looking to purchase a home. We were looking in 2023. We looked all over St. Augustine South. We put in a couple of offers, but still at that point, the market was still pretty hot. And anything that I was interested in that fell into like my buy box was getting picked up super quick by cash buyers. And at the end of the day, I don't have $300,000 in cash. These guys did. So I kept losing. And then I eventually decided, you know what, let's go over to West Augustine. Let's buy a house over there, because I also like what's going on over there in West Augustine. If you are looking for another neighborhood that has a lot of room to grow, make sure you check out this video on West Augustine. I cover all of the things that are happening over there so you have a good idea if it's the right move for you and your family. Now, within St. Augustine South, you have a no-HOA neighborhood, and most of the houses are going to be older. You do have some newer homes. They're going to be at the higher price point, But the homes, for the most part, that are in here were developed between the 70s and the 80s. There's a lot of ranch style homes in here that sit on about 1/10 to 1/4 of an acre. Typically, if they're over 1/4 of an acre, that's like an oversized, like double lot here in St. Augustine South. And you can find prices in here really ranging from the low 300s to the mid 600s. Now, of course, there are some homes that are on the water that face the intercoastal. Those garner a lot more money than the homes that just sit in this neighborhood. Another one of the big deals about living in this neighborhood is that it's also flood zone X for the majority of the neighborhood. Now, you do have some of it that is going to be in flood zone AE, where you're more than likely going to have to pay for flood insurance. Just depends if you have a mortgage or not, or if you want to self-insure. But that's going to be one of the big benefits of living in this neighborhood, is that pretty much everything's going to be in flood zone X. So you have access to the water without the issues of being close to the water. One other great thing about this neighborhood is that you see kids, you see families, you see people walking about all along here, running on their bikes, on scooters, hitting the trails, running around, having access to the intercoastal. And it's something that, like, for a long time we didn't see. Like, it felt like that just disappeared for a couple of years. And all of a sudden, maybe it's with the invention of e-bikes and the electric bikes, these kids are all over the place running amok, but you love to see it. Now, I think this neighborhood is really a great fit for so many different types of people. I really think it's more lifestyle based. Like, if you want everything that St. Augustine has to offer and you don't want to blow out your budget, St. Augustine South is going to be a great option for you. But just some of the people that I've put in here, I've put people that have retired in here that, hey, they want to get out in the intercoastal. They want to go catch some reds out in the intercoastal on their boat every single day. I've also helped I'm currently helping a first-time home buyer buy a house in this neighborhood, which we're going to take a look at that house in a little bit. And then I've also helped more of an established family with a couple kids where they're looking to have that and see, look, we got a kid on the bike right over here, just past them, you know. So that's kind of the neighborhood here. It's a good mix of everybody that's more or less just looking for that lifestyle piece here in St. Johns County. And especially if you want to be close to the beach, the intercoastal, and downtown, there's not a better neighborhood in St. Johns County for this type of lifestyle. The median sale price in this neighborhood over the last 6 months is going to be $390,000 with a sale to list price of 95%. So just for easy math, not going to find too many $100,000 homes in here, but just for the easy math for the example here, if the home is listed for $100,000, on average, you're going to see it sell for $95,000. So there is about a 5% wiggle room when we're talking about, you know, almost a $400,000 home. That could be $20,000 off the price or incentives that you can negotiate for yourself. All right, before we go check out these two listings that I want you guys to see, it'll give you a good look at what, you know, hey, A price gets you that needs a little bit of work and what B price gets you. I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of this neighborhood. Now, obviously a lot of this video is a good bit of the pros, right? So no HOA, you have a good bit of elbow room between your neighbors here, so 1/10 to 1/4 of an acre, depending on your lot. You have the intercoastal access, you have the 2 public boat ramps, you have walking trails throughout the St. Augustine South. It's also just the general location of how close you are to downtown St. Augustine, the beach, and the intercoastal. But there are some cons. As I mentioned earlier, parts of it are in a flood zone. Now, it's not the majority of the neighborhood, so if you're looking here, it's not going to be something that you need to worry about, but there are parts that are in a flood zone. The other con is that there's no public sewer in this neighborhood. So if you've never had a septic tank, that might put you back a little bit, and that might not be something you want to deal with. But in reality, I currently have a septic tank. I know for a lot of my people in the Northeast, that's not something you've ever had to deal with, but I currently have a septic tank. It's pretty easy to maintain. There's nothing really to do outside of like getting it pumped every 5 years or so. It also just depends on use. I know people that don't pump it for 10 years and they have no problems. The other negative of this neighborhood is that you're going to find a mix of housing. Like I said, you're going to find the new construction stuff at the higher price point, probably closer in the mid 5s to 600s. You can find it a little bit cheaper, but you're going to compromise on square footage. But the majority of the other homes are going to be dated. Like I said, a lot of these homes are built in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So they're going to be dated. They're not going to be the functional layouts that we see in a lot of the new construction that we have here in St. Johns County. So that could be a huge negative to people. And outside of that, like the bottom of the barrel pricing is going to be around $300 for a home that needs work, right? So if you're willing to like go in there and maybe move a wall or redo a kitchen or a bathroom, then you're probably going to be okay with it and you're going to get the most bang for your buck coming here to St. Augustine. But if you're not, it's just going to be a hassle for you. And I actually got this listing from a past customer that reached out to me through YouTube, relocated down here from New York, and they referred me their neighbor across the street. So right across the street, I know you got some fantastic people there because they referred me. They said, hey, listen, this guy, he's trustworthy. He knows his stuff. He knows what's going on here. And he's not going to bullshit around about what you need to do for your house in order to get it sold, which is what I do for everybody. So if you are looking to buy a house here in St. Augustine, or if you're looking to sell a home here in St. Augustine and St. Johns County, reach out to me directly. I'd love to be able to help. All right, so the first house that we're going to take a look at is my newest listing. It just hit the market a couple of days ago. So by the time this video comes out, hopefully it's under contract, but it'll probably only be about a week on the market at that point. So this home is going to be priced at $349,000, has a 2016 metal roof, but the rest of the house is dated and needs some work. And that's why we priced it at $350,000. So we can get as many people interested as possible. It's 1232 Prince Street. Let's take a look. All right, now we're gonna pull into my home that I have under contract here. This is actually an off-market home. It never came onto the market, but I know the seller because I used to work with him. So let's go ahead and check this house out. This is the under contract home that I have for my first-time home buyers. Let's go see it. All right, guys, that is it. We're actually having an inspection today by HouseScam, one of the best companies here in Northeastern Florida, on this home. So I figured why not make the most of it. But if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Northeastern Florida, make sure you reach out to me and my team. All we try to do is give you the information so that you can make an educated decision on what you want to do, which is buy, sell, or invest here in St. Augustine. Until next time, guys.